presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Black. We are Florida.
In downtown Miami, a beautiful new building is rising. From the rubble of the Orange Bowl, a gleaming tribute to the American pastime takes shape. And as the final steel beam was put in place last week, the dream moved one step closer to reality. The Marlins will soon say goodbye to Sun Life Stadium, their only home since the team's inception. And as the team prepares to move into their new ballpark, we say goodbye to some of the fond memories of old.
And the first pitch from Charlie Huff. Strike from the inside corner. That's the way to start a ball game.
Off speed, got it looking. Strike three called. Hernandez, 15 strikeouts. The Marlins are in the win column. They have taken game 5.
Today is opening day, and the Marlins finally begin their 2011 season. And to start things off, we've got an A-plus lineup for you. You want rivalry? How's a matchup with the New York Mets grab you? You want pitching? We've got last year's National League ERA leader and Marlin ace Josh Johnson on the hill. You want action? We've got a dynamic, young team looking to shake up the National League East. You want pageantry? It's opening day, and we've got all the pomp, all the circumstance, and everything that goes with it. Next on Fox Sports Florida.
It is baseball night in South Florida. It is opening night in South Florida as Major League Baseball opens its season 2011 is officially open for business as the Marlins start their season by hosting their rivals, the New York Mets. Come on in, folks. Game number 1 of 162 starts tonight, a celebration of a great Marlin legend. Some new names. And a gunslinger and an ace on the mound for the Fish. Hi, everybody. Rich Waltz along with Tommy Hutt. Welcome to opening night. Hutt, it's our 7th year together. You're 15th with the ball club. And opening day or opening night never gets old.
Rich, it's happy to be with you again. I'm happy to be at another opening night. Seeing all those highlights just brings back all kinds of memories. And it gets me thinking about an opening night because what will unfold this season? And that's what's amazing about a baseball season. There'll be some great memories unfold this year.
You saw in that last montage a very talented and young team, and you can say that about the Marlins outfield. Yet that's one of the real question marks about this team going forward into this season.
You know, the outfield is young. They're inexperienced. In left field, you have Logan Morrison, a tremendous on-base guy. He's only 23. Chris Coughlin, a Rookie of the Year 2 years ago, is 25 years old, and the 21-year-old with tons of power is Mike Stanton, who hit 22 home runs last year in his 100 games.
And it's a talent there. I mean, the question is, can Coughlin play center field? So many questions to be answered for every Major League team this year. Let's go down on the field for the lineups and the introductions tonight. Dick Sanford, the voice of Sun Life Stadium.
And bullpen coordinator, number 75, Jeffrey Urgeles. Your Marlins reserve players this evening. Number 1, Emilio Bonifacio. Number 9, Brett Hayes. Number 18, Wes Hill. Number 19, Anibal Sanchez. Number 21, John Baker. Number 23, Javier Vasquez. Number 29, Greg Dobbs. Number 32, Clay Hensley. Number 33, Scott Cousins. Number 34, Edward Mojica. Number 38, Randy Choate. Number 40, Mike Dunn. Number 41, Chris Bolstad. Number 44, Brian Sanchez. Number 46, Leon Nunes. Number 47, Ricky Nolasco. Number 58, Ryan Webb. And now, tonight's starting lineup for your 2011 Florida Marlins. The manager, number 36, Edwin Rodriguez. And now, tonight's starting lineup. Center field, number 8, Chris Coughlin. Batting second, playing second base, number 13, Omar Infante. Batting third, playing shortstop, number 2, Hanley Ramirez. Batting fifth, playing right field, number 27, Mike Stanton. Batting sixth, playing first base, number 15, Gabby Sanchez. Number 20, left fielder, Logan Morrison. In the bullpen, and tonight's starting catcher, number 14, John Buck. Batting eighth, playing third base, number 22, Donnie Murphy. And tonight's starting pitcher, warming up in the bullpen, number 55, Josh Johnson. Ladies and gentlemen, your 2011 Florida Marlins. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, at this time, we respectfully request that you please rise and ask that you please remove your caps before we present our nation's colors in honor of America tonight. We ask at this time that you join the Marlins and all of Major League Baseball in offering a moment of silence and respect for the unfortunate lives injured and lost from the recent disasters Japan has recently suffered. Ladies and gentlemen, here to present our nation's colors tonight are firefighters and officers from Miami-Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach counties. Please remain standing as we honor America with our national anthem this evening. Performing our national anthem, a member of Bruce Springsteen's E Street Band, the big man himself. Please welcome Clarence Clemens. Fans, how about a big Marlins round of applause for Clarence Clemens of the E Street Band. And thank you for performing tonight's national anthem.
There you go. That's the pomp and the circumstance. Now the ball game is coming up. From Sun Life Stadium, one final time, an opening night ready to go. The New York Mets, the Florida Marlins. Let's light this thing when we return.
crowd of over 40,000 expected here in South Florida tonight as the Florida Marlins and the New York Mets get ready to start this season. We start our season with Craig Minervini. Craig?
Rich, your buzz in the air, not just from the flyover here. Everybody's excited, not only for the start of this 2011 campaign, but also the excitement going forward, as Frank showed us in the pregame, of the new stadium a year from now. On the postgame here tonight, Jeff Conine will join us. We'll have complete highlights, analysis from Jeff, and much more ahead. We're all excited. It's opening day down to Frank Ford.
All right, thanks, Craig. One thing we'll be updating you on tonight and throughout this 2011 Marlins baseball season is construction on the new ballpark. It's approaching 70% complete. The roof is almost all in place, and most of the seats in the lower bowl are there. We'll have more on that during tonight's game. Now over to Allison Williams.
Frank, the Marlins excited to be under a new roof next year, while the Mets are excited to be under new management this year. And some are calling this regime the Money Mets. I'll explain why a little later. It's all part of our opening day coverage. Rich, up to you.
Cast of thousands here, including Logan Morrison, as the Marlins and the Mets get ready to go. Mike Stanton in right field, ready to roll. Fish and Mets next. Moving forward, and by AT&T. Dinner is served, and the 2011 season moments away from starting for the Mets and the Marlins. Of course, baseball opened yesterday. There were more opening days today. This an opening night here under the lights, and Josh Johnson heads out to start this 2011 season. Here's the Mets lineup. They finished at 79 and 83, made a lot of changes in the offseason. Jose Reyes starts at shortstop. Willie Harris is in left field with Jason Bay, a rib injury on the DL. David Wright, of course, at third base. Carlos Beltran had only 9 spring training at-bats. Angel Pagan is in center field, very good outfielder. Ike Davis, young first baseman with pop. Brad Emus is a second baseman, a Rule 5 draft pick that has made the club. Josh Tolley behind the plate, good catch and throw guy, and Mike Pelfrey's on the mound.
All right, you've seen the big guy before. He's 6'7", he's 250, he's 27 years old, and that's Josh Johnson, a two-time All-Star. And when you look back at last year, he was 11-6. Remember, at one point, he had 19 consecutive quality starts. That's 6 innings or more, 3 earned runs or less. All that being said, that's okay, but what he would like to do is take games a little bit deeper and try to avoid those bullpen issues that happened to him last year. 7 times the bullpen blew a lead when he came out of the game.
Marlins hope better bullpen and better defense.
Here's the defense, the young outfield, Logan Morrison, Chris Coghlan, Mike Stanton. They were able to play a few games together right toward the end of the spring. Donnie Murphy making his first opening day start. Hanley Ramirez, Omar Infante up the middle. Gabby Sanchez coming off a solid rookie year. And John Buck behind the plate, a good addition to this Marlins ball club.
Tommy, Donnie Murphy is in the starting lineup, and of course it was Matt Dominguez who was penciled in. He was trying to win the job in spring training. News today that may impact third base the rest of the year. Matt Dominguez suffered a fractured elbow in a AAA game. He was hit by a pitch. So as Murphy starts the season, the Marlins have that to ponder. JJ kicks and delivers. Reyes runs up on a fastball that's high, and it's 1-0. Jose Reyes, Willie Harris, David Wright to open up the season. JJ last year, the National League leader in ERA. Buck tried to squeeze that on the corner, but Jerry Davis having none of that behind the plate.
The only game that Josh Johnson has ever lost to the New York Mets was last year on opening day. That was a ball game that he lost 7-1 to Johan Santana, went 5 innings, gave up 4 runs. David Wright took him deep, a 2-run homer.
Of course, there are a lot of names in that Mets lineup that are not here tonight. 2-2 pitch. Missed down low. Jason Bay on the disabled list. Johan Santana on the disabled list. The shoulder injury should keep the Mets ace out until June. High chopper. Infante, bare hand. How about a little defense to open up the season by Omar Infante?
I like a little defense early on. That was a nice bare hand pick by Omar Infante. It's a do-or-die play. He knows if he gloves it, he probably doesn't get the speedy Reyes. This ball has some spin on it. There's the bare hand, quick throw, and he gets Jose Reyes. Nicely done.
That will be an upgrade certainly for the Marlins at second base. And as the Marlins try to get better defense out of this team, Infante is just one piece of the puzzle. Here's Willie Harris. He's kind of the stand-in while Jason Bay comes back from a rib injury. Bay, of course, missed a lot of last year with a concussion and injured his ribs in spring training. Mets hope to have him back in about 10 days. Harris pulls a ground ball foul.
Yeah, rough year for Willie Harris last year with the Nats. Hit just 183. Kind of a journeyman outfielder. We've seen him with the Atlanta Braves. He also played with the Red Sox, the O's, and the White Sox.
World Series ring from his season with the White Sox in 2005. JJ just missed. Of course, the Mets, new players, new manager, new general manager, Terry Collins, the skipper of the Mets. Collins has been the skipper of 2 other big league teams, 3 years in Houston, 3 second-place finishes in Houston, 3 years in Anaheim, 2 second-place finishes with the Angels. Drive to center, and Chris Coghlan gets his first taste of center field in the big leagues and makes the catch. Game time forecast brought to you by All Year Cooling. Pretty warm, pretty humid, 85 degrees. It's turned into an outstanding night here at the ballpark. 40,000 expected tonight, Super Saturday tomorrow, and an afternoon game on Sunday.
You know, Rich, we expect more, maybe not more than 40, but a great crowd tomorrow night on Super Saturday. It's going to be another gorgeous night weather-wise, and Sunday the same.
All right, here is David Wright. You mentioned the home run he hit off of JJ. It was actually an opposite field homer to right field. And almost a sigh of relief for Met fans when he hit it. Remember in 2009 when Citi Field opened, Wright had an awful year, hit just 10 home runs that year. A swing and a miss. Last year, Wright would go on to hit 29.
And there's that pitch that he took deep. Not an easy ballpark. He took it right down that right field line. And certainly David Wright came back with a 29 home run season and over 100 RBIs.
And Wright fouls that pitch off. It's 1-2.
Good stuff early on from JJ. Fastball's been live and he's throwing some sharp biting sliders.
And this is the point of an inning in which J.J. has really focused on. Finishing an inning without getting a high pitch count. He's 1-2 on right. Got him! 15 pitches, 3 outs. Marlins coming to bat. The 2011 season open for business. Gabby Sanchez in the 5 spot. Logan Morrison hit 6. John Buck, an all-star last year, hit 7. Donnie Murphy at 3rd, and JJ in the 9 spots.
A guy who has really struggled in his career against the Marlins is the big right-hander Mike Pelfrey. Had a solid year last year, 15-9 in his career against the Marlins, 1-6 with an ERA over 5.
Chris Coghlan takes a fastball for a strike. The Marlins would obviously love to have 2009 Chris Coghlan rather than 2010 Chris Coghlan. Though he did have a torrid stretch last year. He finished at 268 with a 335 on base percentage. In his Rookie of the Year campaign 2 years ago, he hit 331, and his on base percentage, Tommy, was 390.
Good to see Cogs healthy and play some games in spring training, and when he did, he swung the bat well.
He said in spring training, Tommy, that last year he got out of all the good habits that he had in 2009. He was trying to prove to the world that he deserved the Rookie of the Year award, and he was a wild swinger in April and May last year.
84 strikeouts last year. There are the spring training numbers.
Slicing liner that's foul.
But as you pointed out, Rich, as the season went on and he ended up bringing his average up to 268 before he got injured, he was able to bring those strikeouts down.
91 games his season cut short in July in the celebration and the pie incident with Wes Helms. And Coghlan doing what the Marlins envisioned him doing at the top of the lineup, and that's seeing a lot of pitches, fighting balls off, trying to find a way to get on base.
They have a couple of guys at the top of the order who can do that. Omar Infante in the number 2 spot.
Mike Pelfrey with a 2-2 pitch. Coghlan loops that one foul. Coghlan against Pelfrey is 3 for 9, and 2 of those 3 hits are triples. As Tommy pointed out, the Marlins have had a lot of success against Pelfrey. Though Pelfrey pitched pretty well against them last year, and his 2 starts didn't get a decision. His ERA was under 4. And Coghlan is rolling up the pitch count for Pelfrey already. 8 pitches in this at bat.
Yeah, you're seeing Chris Coughlin at his best. I mean, he's really making Pelfrey work. He's throwing sliders. He's pounded him inside with some two-seam sinkers, which he throws very well.
Pelfrey misses down low.
Well, that's a tough pitch to take with 2 strikes. Really close. A good eye by Coughlin.
Fonte waits. Hanley hitting third tonight. And Coughlin takes high and outside. That's significant, Tommy. That's a pitch that last year he would chase.
What a great at bat. See how the Mets stack up defensively in this one. Willie Harris, the journeyman in left. Angel Pagan in center. Carlos Beltran, the Gold Glover. A different Carlos Beltran now in right. David Wright, Jose Reyes. No strangers on the left side. Brad Emus, the Rule 5 pick. Ike Davis and Josh Tolley is behind the plate.
Now here is Omar Infante. Infante takes a strike. I can remember last year when Infante made the All-Star team, many people, Marlin fans, were incensed that he made the All-Star team instead of Dan Uggla. But Charlie Manuel knew what he was doing. Infante, that 321 average, was 3rd in the National League last year. He was indispensable for the Braves.
He's a guy that all spring and even last year, the number of times that we got to see him, when he gets this situation with a runner at first base, he tries to get himself a pitch that he can shoot in that hole on the right side. We saw him do that a lot in the spring.
How much running will Coughlin do with a repaired knee from the offseason?
I think we saw him in spring training run the bases the last couple of weeks real well. I think at this point, the shoulder is a little bit more of an issue than the knee.
Coughlin, as he rehabbed his knee, did not follow a throwing program in the offseason and thus developed a sore shoulder in spring training. Infante takes a strike. 1-2. Infante is 29. He's out of Venezuela. 6 years with the Tigers, including a World Series appearance in 2006. And 3 years with Atlanta. Coughlin's at first. Pelfrey chases him back with a pretty good move for a big man.
The other thing about Infante is that he's played all over. He's played a lot of positions. There is that quick move, and the reason Pelfrey has a quick move, he has quick feet, like an infielder. Even at 6'7", he has quick feet.
Infante to right center field. Beltran wandering over, and he makes the catch.
Well, we've been talking a little bit about the 27-year-old righty Mike Pelfrey. We'll scout him a little. Lots of sinkers. He incorporated a good splitter last year that really helped him. You mentioned the quick move to first base. As a lefty, if you can lay off that splitter when it's down, you're going to have a little more success.
Sometimes, Tommy, they say sinker ballers throw better sinkers as a game goes on or as a season goes on, but Pelfrey has been a better pitcher in the month of April in his career. He is 8-1 since 2008. That's the best in the National League in the month of April. Here's Hanley, with Coughlin still at first.
Yeah, to just expand on that, last April, he was 4-0 with an 0.69 ERA. This guy's done a pretty good job on opening days, though, too, Hanley Ramirez.
Carries a hitting streak from last year into this year. Hanley finished right at 300 by hitting in his last 7 games, but missed the last 2 weeks of the season with a left elbow injury, a hyperextended left elbow. A lot of eyeballs on Hanley Ramirez this year.
I think Hanley impressed a lot of people in spring training with his attitude, with the way he played. He just needs to carry that over the next 6 months.
Fouls it back to the screen. It's 2-1.
Hanley on opening days has hit .450. So he's gotten out of the chute pretty well.
well. 2-1. Chris Coghlan, a leadoff walk. Belfry has thrown 18 pitches so far here in the first. A shocker out of Wichita State. And it's a Mets rotation that without Johan Santana, Terry Collins is going to have to nurse through the first couple of months and hope that his ace comes back healthy. Coghlan is running. Hanley is hitting, and it's popped up. And shallow right, Beltran in and over. He makes the catch.
Yeah, the Mets will feature left-hander Jonathan Nunes in the ballgame tomorrow night against Ricky Velasco. The knuckleballer R.A. Dickey on Sunday against Javier Vasquez. And then Terry Collins has a couple of veteran reclamation-type projects in Chris Young and Chris Capuano.
Capuano is available to throw in relief in this series. He's the number 5 starter. And here's Mike Stanton. He climbs in against Pelfrey. 2 for 6 against the big right-hander in his short major league career. Pelfrey stays away. It's 1-0.
The more you watch Mike Stanton, and I can't get enough of it, you watch him take that slider that's off the plate. And if he's patient on that pitch, he'll have success. It's when he starts chasing that pitch, he gets himself in trouble. A couple of good takes on those 2 sliders.
It was a roller coaster for Stanton in his 100 games. You see the home run numbers that led all rookies. He had some good months, some not so good months, and then a terrific finish in September. One in which he hit .312 and hit 8 homers. That's a shot down the line, and it's fair. Into the corner, and off to the races is Coghlan. Headed towards third. Up for the ball is Harris. Coghlan is held there. And the Marlins have runners at second and at third.
Rich, you talked about Hanley Ramirez carrying a hitting streak into this year. So is Mike Stanton. Mike is now hit in 12 consecutive games. But the whole key to that at-bat was the 2 takes on the sliders that were off the plate. He got a pitch he could drive, and boy, did he drive it hard into the left field corner. Unfortunately, he hit it so hard that Coghlan couldn't score from first.
So here's Gabby Sanchez now. And Stanton at second and Coghlan at third. Gabby takes a running fastball in. Outstanding rookie season for Gabby last year. The Miami native. 19 homers, drove in 85. Led all rookies with 37 doubles. He's very good with runners in scoring position. You have to like the way this part of the Marlins lineup sets up. You know, Edwin Rodriguez does. Hanley, Stanton, Gabby Sanchez, Logan Morrison, and then John Buck. Ground ball to Davis, who slips and flips in time. And the inning is over. So we've played 1. Pelfrey escapes. We're scoreless. Davis to follow. A 15-pitch first inning for J.J. and a 1-2-3 inning as well. And here's one of the big question marks for the Mets this year. How much will Carlos Beltran play? How much will those knees take this year?
Yeah, it's really both knees that have been giving him trouble. Over the last 2 years, he's played just 145 games, and he didn't play a whole lot this spring. There was a lot of question whether he would open the season on the active roster or on the disabled list.
Little pop. Donnie Murphy is there to make the catch. Well, we open the season tonight. Big Fox opens the season tomorrow. All the tradition of baseball's opening weekend. The Tigers, of course, in the Bronx to take on the Yankees. The season premiere of Fox Saturday Baseball returns this week, 4 Eastern, 3 Central in high definition.
Saw Mariano Rivera pick up his 560th save on opening day at Yankee Stadium, and he did it with ease.
Here is Angel Pagan. He sends a high fly ball towards the corner. Morrison in full flight reaches and can't make the catch. He ran into the wall just as the ball hit his glove.
Getting to that point in time in the evening where it's tough to pick up high fly balls, so outfielders, infielders are going to have to help each other out. The tough part about that play is that the ball hit the glove right when Lomo got to the wall. Good effort.
JJ with a changeup. He told us, Tommy, that the changeup for him would be a huge pitch this year. A fastball slider guy. Not only the changeup, he's a pop. Murphy and Hanley. It's Hanley who makes the catch. JJ has added another pitch to his arsenal as well.
Yeah, he needs to show hitters something with a different speed. He got David Wright with a curveball. Now, that's a pitch that we didn't see much from Josh Johnson. So you add the changeup along with the hard sinker slider. I'm sure David Wright said, what the heck was that pitch?
Nice play by Hanley running down that pop-up. And here's Ike Davis. The Mets will look to this young player for some production this year. And Davis showed signs of it last year. Hitting 19 homers, 33 doubles. He's a guy that rocketed up the Mets chain after they picked him in the first round in 2008. Out of Arizona State, his father Ron, a Yankee pitcher. Just 182 games in the minor leagues.
Yeah, we talked a lot last year about Gabby Sanchez and Ike Davis, a couple of rookie first basemen who really did themselves well. They had solid rookie seasons. Now both have that job to come back in the sophomore year, make the adjustments because they know others will make the adjustments to them.
There's the slider, and it misses down low. It's 3-1. It bounces a fastball up. The Mets have their first base run. In 2006, the Marlins in the Rule 5 draft took a virtual unknown, Dan Uggla. And Uggla, of course, a fixture up until this season. The Mets are hoping they've caught lightning in a bottle with this guy, Brad Emos, out of Tulane University. And a fastball for a strike.
And there were others in the mix for the Mets in spring training. At one time, Luis Castillo, former Marlin, was in the mix.
Once Castillo was released from spring training, Emos really settled down and won the job. And Terry Collins said he's an offensive player right now. He's going to have to learn the nuances of playing second base in the big leagues. And this his first major league at bat against Josh Johnson.
Yeah, all of his time last year in the minor leagues, in AA and AAA.
I think JJ may have walked.
Yeah, third base umpire Todd Tishner made the call right away, and I think almost he didn't quite get his feet directed to first base quick enough. He almost got tangled up on the mound.
Yeah, you're right. I think he caught a spike. Let's look.
He's trying to do that quick move, and it just didn't look right because I think something got caught, probably his spikes.
It looked like he did step off, though, before he turned and made that throw. Emas, a bouncer to Hanley. Fires the first in time, and JJ is out of the inning. The Mets leave a runner. Yeah, the last year in this old building. Scoreless.
Their first game under new GM Sandy Alderson, and what he does for the Mets will be judged from here on out. But he's already put together a pretty impressive resume. He's a former Marine. He served in Vietnam, has a degree from Dartmouth, a law degree from Harvard. Served as the A's GM, also the CEO of the Padres, and worked for the commissioner's office. When he worked for the A's, he became known for his use of the statistic of on-base percentage and slugging percentage. Under his guise, they won 4 division titles, 3 pennants, and a 1989 World Series. He kind of laid that foundation for Billy Beane and the era known as Moneyballs, written about in that book by Michael Lewis. And now some people are calling them the Moneyball Mets, as he tries to retool one of baseball's really least cost-effective teams. They have $134.2 million committed to this year. $56 million of that will likely come off the books for next year. So he certainly has his work cut out for him financially with the Mets, but he insists there's much more to his philosophy than just what was documented in Moneyball. Rich, Tommy.
All right, thank you, Allie. Here's John Buck now, and Buck takes a fastball up. His first AB as a Marlin.
I think it was interesting as John Buck stands in wearing a Marlins uniform, as you said, first time, that as Allison was talking about Moneyball and Sandy Alderson, Logan Morrison was up there. He would be a player Sandy Alderson would love, but Lomo hit the first pitch and hit it very hard. He was robbed by Reyes, and that's something he may do a little bit more of this year, be a little more aggressive.
See the breakout season that Buck had last year, an all-star for Toronto, 20 home runs. And at first look, a lot of people said, well, you know what? A lot of home runs went out of Skydome last year, or the Rogers Center, if you will. Look at the...
Ask Jose Bautista.
So I did a little digging on John Buck. He hit more home runs on the road last year than he did at home.
No, that's right. He had a 3-homer game in Oakland.
11 homers on the road, 9 at home, and Pelfrey goes up and in with a fastball.
Yeah, he's never faced Mike Pelfrey before.
Buck out of Taylorsville, Utah. 30 years old. Checks his swing and fouls it off. A guy in the Houston organization that traded to Kansas City, came up with the Royals. Last year it all came together for him, and the Marlins are hoping that it stays together for the next 3 years.
Well, and that's part of the story. I think the other part of the story is his leadership behind the plate and the way he's going to handle the staff.
Calls that fastball back. Buck told me yesterday he became sort of an adopted member of the catching Molina family last year.
Yeah, he was tutored by
Jose Molina. Buck caught about 3/4 of the games for the Blue Jays. Jose Molina the rest. And Molina really, Buck said, refined his work behind the plate. The nuances of framing pitches, blocking pitches, calling games.
That's absolutely right. The people I talked with the Toronto Blue Jays told the exact same story, that early in the season, Buck had some struggles behind the plate. Molina really straightened him out.
Buck hits a high fly ball to left. It's Willie Harris out there. And Willie makes the catch. Tomorrow night, Tommy, is the first Baker Concrete Super Saturday. And it's Miami's own and a big Marlin fan, Pitbull, with special guest DJ Lads. Marlins take on the Mets at 7:10, 1-877 Marlins. You go to Marlins.com, lock in your seats for Marlins Super Saturday with Pitbull. All right, here is Donnie Murphy now. If you've just joined us, just before game time, Clark Spencer in the Miami Herald broke the story that Matt Dominguez suffered a fractured elbow in a minor league game against, ironically, the Mets AAA affiliate. He was hit by a pitch. He will be examined tonight and tomorrow. The Marlins do not know the extent of the fracture at this point.
Well, what a tough blow for Matt Dominguez. We saw him get off to a really good start in spring training and then started to struggle. And once the struggles came more offensively, not defensively, the organization thought it best to send him back. But if in a couple of months he were playing well and swinging the bat better, he'd be back up here. And now a tough break for him.
Obviously that timetable is going to have to be put off. But just looking at Donnie Murphy, if you were to tell me that Donnie Murphy would be in uniform and active at the end of last season, I would have said you were nuts. Because Donnie Murphy, when he dislocated his wrist, the physicians, the doctor that operated, told him this is a career-threatening injury. You may not be back playing baseball for at least a year, if that. And Murphy showed up in spring training and stunned everybody by being ready, not only for baseball activities, but to play.
This has to be, without question, this is the first opening day roster that Donnie's made in the major leagues. But certainly one that he's going to always remember because of that fractured wrist last year.
I can remember talking to Murphy the day after the surgery in the clubhouse. He was very emotional because there were some doubts about his big league career. Emus gets his first chance and throws out Murphy by a step. A 1-2-3 inning. For Mike Pelfrey, we are rolling here in 2011. JJ has given up just the one walk. He has struck out one. We'll get Josh Tolley, the pitcher Mike Pelfrey, and the top of the order, and Jose Reyes. Rich Waltz, Tommy Hutton, John Sulzer, our producer, Jim Holly, critically acclaimed director, Ken Lee, our graphics producer.
All honing their skills in the offseason.
JJ misses down low. Josh Tolley had a very good year defensively last year. A slap hitter. Very good on base percentage as well. He's a guy that's not going to give you a lot of power, but if he continues to play the defense that he's played and he gets on base, well, he's a nice addition to the Mets.
He actually had 3 home runs this spring. Gave them a little power in spring training. The other, on a lesser note, because we've talked about the various injuries that the Mets have suffered, Ronnie Paulino, former Marlin, has a few more days left to serve on a suspension, but also it was discovered has a blood disorder and is going to miss some time until he gets that straightened out.
Anemia, the disorder, and late April is when they expect him or hope to get him back. Nice play by Buck. Catch and tag, and we check in with Frank Ford. Francis.
Hey, Rich, Tommy, good to be with you on this opening night. And as exciting as all this is, we're going to think ahead a little bit now to a year from now when the Marlins open up their brand new ballpark in Miami at the site where the Orange Bowl used to be. And that ballpark is really starting to take shape. The outer part of it is going up. They placed the final piece of structural steel right there on the roof. They're going to start covering the roof. That's going to be done sometime in the midsummer. In the lower bowl, about 80% of the seats are in place in the lower bowl in what will be a 36,000 seat ballpark. So there's a lot of excitement around that. The Marlins have done very well selling premium seats. The suites are going. There's a Marlins sales office that's open right across the street from the ballpark. And guys, as you know, I've been down there multiple times and seen that thing go from basically the ground up. And it is quite a sight. And I all know we are all very excited to be in that new ballpark next year, but still got 162 to go here in 2011. Rich and Tommy?
No swing by Pelfrey. Hey, Frank, we're hoping that by the time we get to August and September, when we toss to you for an update during the game, you're in the new stadium and you can give us live updates from down there.
Yeah, we're going to try a few technical things and try and get that worked out, but I think it'd be really cool to be down there at night while the Marlins are playing here. Nice play by Josh Johnson there, fielding his position, and give you updates from the new ballpark. And Rich and Tom, you guys have both been down there. Just to see that thing come up out of the ground, it's been an amazing experience. And so far, so good. It's on time, it's on budget, and they are right on track for 2012.
Yeah, it's been incredible to see the progress. And I know we've had an opportunity to go up to the level and actually stand in the TV booth where we'll be televising from next year. Good play by JJ, but the thing I liked about that approach is he went right after Pelfrey.
He's going right after Reyes. Opens up with an off-speed pitch. Reyes bounced to second his first time up. Mets folks say that Reyes has had his best spring training, is in great shape, and is primed for a big year. Of course, it's a contract year. He'll be a free agent after this season.
There are some who say, well, if sometime in July he's having a terrific year with all the things the Mets organization has dealt with financially, you could see a Jose Reyes traded.
Yeah, Allison Williams detailed the financial constraints that Sandy Alderson has to, I guess, clean up, so to speak. An opening day payroll of almost $140 million. 2-2. It's fouled back, but of course, with the Bernie Madoff scandal and the Mets ownership, a portion of the Mets right now is for sale, and pending a lawsuit, there may be more than just a portion for sale. That kind of hangs over the Mets a little bit this year as well. 2-2. Reyes up the middle. Around it is Infante, and he throws him out. 1-2-3. Josh Johnson. 43 pitches for JJ through 3 innings. action in 2 starts. 1-6 overall, 5.5 ERA in 12 starts. And he's been able to get through the lineup in the first 2 innings without giving up a run. Josh Johnson, Chris Coghlan, Omar Infante.
Certainly a smaller part of his game, but I think we'll see better at-bats from JJ this year. Just 5 hits last year, but there were times because of the lower back issue that he had that finally shut him down toward the end, that he went up there and they didn't want him to swing. He would swing because he's a competitor, but not with the same type of swing that he's had before.
3 home runs, and he was a contributor offensively back in 2009. Got sawed off by that fastball. And it's 1-2. And if you follow the Marlins, you know that Josh Johnson not only changed his workout regimen, but he changed his workout location in the offseason. He went to Las Vegas and worked out with a big-time bodybuilder and a big-time gym.
Well, he changed his residence as well, so it was much more convenient for him there. Yeah, that's a better swing. He didn't have that swing the last couple of months of the season.
JJ testing out our microphone behind home plate. Knocking the earphones off of our audio genius, Mark Butler. Someone go in the back of the truck and get Butler off the floor after that. JJ swings and misses.
Well, that's usually where we place Mark Butler is on that little seat. And when that microphone is hit, he falls into the water.
Yeah, that's a problem because where the microphone is pointed out, we will hear intimate conversations in the first 4 rows. That's why we have a crack staff, though, Tommy. One of our crack staff.
We'll take care of that.
We'll be down there to take care of it. Here's Coghlan, who had a nice at-bat and walked back in the first.
Rich had that 10-pitch at bat in the first inning and eventually drew the walk.
I think for Coghlan, Tommy, getting off to a good offensive start will take a lot of pressure off of trying to figure out how to play center field.
Talked about it in the spring, and I truly feel that he's such a good athlete. He can learn, and he'll learn how to play center field. The question is, physically, shoulder, knee, and all that, will it hold up? This is a lot of territory to cover, home games, playing center field here.
You're right. That's the other part of the equation, is that this is one of the more challenging outfields, not only in center, but left and right, because of the football lights and the fast grass and the deep dimensions. Emas. Coghlan is out number 2 here in the third as Pelfrey is subbed in. Here comes Omar Infante. Home Depot doing more on defense. Infante with a nice start.
Yeah, we saw the good play on the high chopper hit by Reyes. Bare hand pick and a quick throw over to first base. Do or die play, but that was the only chance Infante had, and he made it.
As one would expect, playing with the Braves for 3 years, Infante has ABs against Mike Pelfrey and success. He's 8 for 16 in his career. Off the end of the bat, Pelfrey spears it, flips on over to first. Mike Pelfrey has set down 7 in a row. We head to the 4th. A Marlin legend will join us soon. would go on to win another World Championship with the Boston Red Sox. And tonight, in front of this opening night crowd, the Marlins honored Mike Lowell, and we are honored as he joins us now. Mikey, how are you? Good to see you, buddy.
Oh, I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. This is, I like watching Josh Johnson. Works quick. Playing defense behind him is fun.
Playing defense and playing behind a guy that works, anybody that works fast.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It makes a big difference and keeps guys on their toes. And a guy like Josh, he's a horse. You know, he throws a lot of strikes, goes right after guys, and it's fun to watch. It's fun to watch. I mean, guys, I know people like to see home runs too. Hopefully the Marlins will hit them.
It's great to see you're back into your Marlin mode there. I like that. It is great to see you back at this ballpark. So many great memories for you in a stadium that, although it's a football stadium, the Marlins, of course, 2 World Championships here, so this place has to have some funness for you.
Absolutely. You know, I mean, I am looking forward to the new stadium, but this is the only baseball I know in South Florida. And, you know, I think we're still considered basically a young franchise to have 2 World Championships and basically with 2 totally different teams. You know, I think that speaks a lot of, if we get to the playoffs, we do a pretty good job once we're in there. But that 2003 group was just so special because it was a lot of guys. I felt that we were the same guys that really got our butts kicked in '99 and 2000, and we got better together. And to reach something like the pinnacle of winning a World Series in 2003 was just, you know, that's something that stays with you forever.
That's a good point because you look at a lot of these guys out here like Logan Morrison and Chris Coughlin, Mike Stanton. They're going to have a chance. Gabby Sanchez and Hanley over and short. They're going to have a chance to be together too.
Absolutely. And you learn each year the strengths of each guy. I noticed a lot playing with Alex Gonzalez. You saw each year how well he moves to his right. So in turn, I can cheat a little bit more to the line, maybe take away some of those doubles. So there is a lot to be said with playing with someone year after year. You're just going to get comfortable. And this guy's a monster. I love watching him pitch.
Fastball. Now, did you get a chance to face JJ when you were with the Red Sox?
You know, when he faced, I think he pitched against us.
Was it in Boston?
No.
Was it here?
It was here. And since David Ortiz was our DH, between Kevin Youkilis, David, and myself, we each played 2 out of the 3 games. And I think I faced Dontrell and maybe Anibal Sanchez. I didn't face Josh. I mean, I had faced him in spring training, and it was not fun because he's big, he hides the ball, he has good movement, a good cutter. Throws hard. I don't like the hard throwers. I like the little guys that throw 88.
Beltran takes inside. Last year, I know it was a physical struggle for you. How are you physically now that you've stepped away from the game?
I'll put it to you this way. I feel great. I feel like I can hit. I feel like I can take ground balls. I can throw, but I can't run a lick. Not that I ever ran a lick, but I have a lot of discomfort in the hip.
Don't talk to Niner. I think he wants to race you.
Oh, no. I couldn't beat him when we were both healthy, so what does that matter? I'm actually going to have surgery, another surgery in September, because it's just cartilage has been wearing on me.
Infante gobbles it up. Stick around, Mike. We'll be back with you as the Marlins take their swings in the bottom of the 4th in a scoreless game.
put down at the new ballpark site. That is really cool.
What a cool honor. It's really, really nice. Something the stories will probably get better as the years go by.
Absolutely.
For my kids and grandkids. I might be like Hank Aaron in about 20 years.
And you're such a great story. Very similar to Gabby Sanchez, a local kid that grew up and got a chance to play in the big leagues with the Marlins.
Have you followed Gabby's career a little bit?
A little bit. You know, we actually have mutual friends, and you know, I like the fact that from what I've seen, you know, I've only seen clips because I really haven't seen him play. He's got a nice nose for the RBI. You know, he knows how to hit in certain situations. Got some pop. You know, what was it, 19 home runs last year? Hey, your first full year, that's outstanding. I'll take 19 every year from my first baseman.
Hanley Ramirez takes a fastball for a strike. Now Hanley Ramirez became a Florida Marlin in a trade that sent you to the Boston Red Sox.
Yep.
You and Josh Beckett headed up to Boston, where you guys were a big part of a World Championship team up there. Well, Hanley sends that into center field. That's Pagan. And he makes the catch.
I think that's one of those trades where I'm not sure Hanley would have started for the Red Sox that year, and he probably didn't want to be in the minor leagues another year, so it worked out very well for him. I mean, he's arguably the best shortstop in the league. But I think the Red Sox got what they wanted, and I'm not saying myself. I think they wanted Josh Beckett. I think they took me as a complimentary piece because I was coming off a subpar season. But I think it's one of those trades where everyone says who won and who lost. I think both teams won, you know, and that means I think it was a good trade. It was just a very good trade for both sides.
You were much more than a complimentary piece, it would turn out.
Well, fortunately for me, yeah. But I know they brought in, I remember my first year, they brought in JT Snow and Kevin Youkilis was there just in case. But, you know, that off season, you know, I kind of took a minor league approach, you know, and I wanted to start early, and I didn't want to come to spring training to get myself ready for the season. I felt like I had to come into spring training that year ready for the season. I think that's what you kind of do in the minor leagues, especially in my situation. I was a 20th round pick. You don't really have that too much leeway. So it's almost out of necessity that you have to come ready. And I took that approach and maybe going back to a little bit of old school mentality, and it worked out for me.
How did it feel this year not going to a spring training?
Surprisingly okay. I think my hip had something to do with it. You know, every offseason I think you have this feeling where you got to put in a year's worth of time with family and friends and everyone that you associate with in 4 months. And 2 of those months you're basically lifting weights, so you have very little free time. And then during the season, it's so unlike any other, you know, profession where, you know, my kids go to school in the morning and I leave at night, you know, or afternoon. I get back late at night. So it's a different dynamic. I was actually really happy to be able to enjoy, you know, watching my kid play Little League, seeing my daughter play soccer. I do miss the competition. I would say that definitely is something that you miss. You just can't replace that. I can't replace it without as many Little League games as I go to. I'm not going to replace that.
Have you had a chance to see much of Mike Stanton?
I think most of what I've seen of Mike Stanton are towering home runs on you know, the highlights, and even more impressive in person. You know, I shook his hand. I told him before the game, I hope he has a great year. And what I've heard about him is that he gets it. You know, he's a young guy who understands what he can and can't do, and just like that, laid off on a tough pitch, willing to take the walk. You know, not just one of these guys who's trying to hack all the time.
Our AT&T trivia question arrives here in the 4th inning. Let's see if there's a Mike Lowell theme to it. You can be our guest guest expert. Which Marlin recorded the first stolen base in franchise history?
I'm going to go with...
You had some speedsters. You had Chucky Carr.
Yeah, I'm going to throw a weird one at you. I'm going to say... How many guesses do we get? 1?
Yeah, throw out your guess. Go ahead, throw out your guess.
I'm going Scott Pose.
Scott Pose, yeah, center field.
And I'll throw in...
You've been summarily tossed by our crack staff.
Is that our producer or our director? Or?
That's the crack staff.
Oh, okay.
You know what they do? You know what they do, Mikey? It's probably an unlikely source like Jeff Conine.
I hope it's not like Orestes Destrade or something like that. I was going to say Brett Barbary, to be honest with you.
How about Benito? There is Gabby now with Stanton at first.
Junior Felix. I remember that team.
Stanton won't be going anywhere with the quad. And it's down the line. Let's see Stanton on his way to third. Over for it is Harris. And Gabby Sanchez has his first hit. The Marlins' second hit of the night. They've both been doubles. And things set up nicely for Logan Morrison.
Well, last year, Gabby led all Major League rookies in doubles, so nothing new to see him stroke a double. And he gets them all over the field. That one down the line, we've seen him find gaps. So look at how far Wright was playing him off the line, not expecting him to pull Pelfrey. He snuck it by him, and the Marlins got a little threat here with one down.
Mike, you mentioned that people have told you that Stanton is a guy that gets it. This is another guy that gets it, and that's Logan Morrison.
I've heard nothing but good things about him. And impressive when you see just the size of these kids. I mean, between Stanton and Morrison, there's about, what, 500 pounds of muscle between the two of them. I'm actually really excited to watch a lot of Marlins games and see these guys develop into, you know, what I think everyone hopes. You know, those premier power guys. You know, one's righty, one's lefty. You mix Gabby in there, you know, it could be with Hanley, obviously, who's a proven run producer. And you have a chance to have four real nice, solid guys in the middle of your lineup that can do a lot of damage.
Morrison has a Euclid-like strike zone as well. Very patient at the plate.
Yeah, I think pitchers, they don't like that too much.
He does, but he told me in the spring, we talked about it, that this year, in this type of situation, he might be a little more aggressive, given the fact that you got right-handers behind him and a chance for him with a ground ball, he can drive in a run here.
Absolutely. I think in these situations, what I know I tried to do and was taught to do is I actually expanded the strike zone a little bit. Not to the point where you're swinging and chasing at bad pitches, but if you're not a high strikeout guy, there's just too many things that can go right for you with a runner on third, less than 2 outs. You know, you can get that ground ball, you can just hit a ball a little bit and get enough in the outfield to get that sac fly. I think it's so much better than, you know, working the count and getting to 2 strikes, because no one likes to hit with 2 strikes. It's hard to hit with 2 strikes. So we'll see. That's part of, you know, Logan realizing what he does well and what he doesn't, and where the situation will, what he has to do in each situation to actually help his team win.
See if he gets a pitch to hit the 2-1, and it's up and in, and he might not see something really good to hit with first base open.
Yeah, I'm surprised he's seen what he has. I remember reading a ridiculous stat quite a while ago that Wade Boggs was a career 300 hitter with 2 strikes.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. I don't care what. And he was the type of guy, I think, who purposely took till he got 1 strike almost every single time. But I think there's one Wade Boggs. You know, and I'm not teaching my young guys to take or try to learn how to hit 300 with 2 strikes. I'd rather try to hit with a 2-0 count.
Becomes a 3-1. And it's outside. So Morrison takes his walk. The bases are loaded. And for the second time in his Marlins career, John Buck comes to the plate. And there's been a Dan Worthen sighting here at the ballpark. The Mets pitching coach is out.
Mike, I know you've talked about, and I know you're a great family man. You enjoy being with your family. What do you see down the road for yourself as an involvement in the game?
I'm not sure. I think I would, if I could have a crystal ball, I would say let's fast forward 10, 12 years where my kids are maybe out of high school, and I would love to be on the field. I enjoy it. I think even when I would hit in the off season, sometimes I'd get guys in the minor leagues and hit with them, and I like that whole the development of seeing guys learn how good they can be or learn what they do well. It's just, if you're going to be a coach and you're going to do it well, it takes time. You know, the coaches are there. They're there at noon. They leave at midnight. So from a time standpoint, I'm almost at the field. You know, it's less stress, I think, if I would be coaching. But I think it would take even more time. And I think if you're going to do it, you got to do it right. But I'm not sure. I thought about, you know, maybe something in the infield. Maybe, you know, working with Bone and some guys. You know, I'm hypothetically speaking, obviously. But we'll see this pitch to John Buck.
Buck with a swing and a miss. All right, I'm sitting next to 2 big league players, former big league players. What's going through Buck's mind? What's his plan of attack?
I like he was aggressive on the first pitch.
Absolutely. I think he knows in this situation, he probably wants a ground ball, so he wants something up. And that was a fastball in the zone where he could drive it. I mean, he missed it, no big deal. But I like John Buck as an acquisition. I think he brings a lot of power from the catching spot. A veteran guy that can help out, you know, the pitching staff. And did a nice job driving in runs for a number of at-bats last year.
Fouled it back, and you saw him in the American League East last year.
He killed us. He killed the Red Sox. So I think you tend to like guys that did a lot of damage against your team.
How do you feel now? He's gotten himself actually a couple of pretty good pitches to hit, but he's fouled them back. Now he's in the hole 0-2.
I think you get into battle mode right here. You don't want to chase, but you know you don't want to strike out. You want to put the ball in play. Even a weak ground ball where they can't turn to is actually better than a strikeout. So I mean, here, you know, you're a little bit in a defense mode, but try to still do your job. You still got a job to do.
We got a little offense going, but you mentioned Bone, Perry Hill. How important is Perry Hill, who you worked under, going to be to this club this year?
I think he can be huge. And I think what I love about Bone is that he does a lot of homework before he makes his suggestions to the guys. I think he looks at tape. He looks how guys move towards the ball. So he can say, hey, you see here against the Mets on this day, why don't we try working on doing this? You know, I remember he told me about balls to my right down the line. He told me a lot of times, Mike, you catch the ball and you take a stride behind your foot. Why don't we just try to replace your foot? So he's not changing the mechanics of the way you feel or the way you throw. He's just kind of tinkering with it because I think he understands these are all big league infielders. They have the capability to play good defense. It's a matter of just tweaking it here or there so they can become more consistent and basically use the talents that we see that they have.
2-2 to John Buck. Bags loaded, scoreless game. 1 out in the 4th. Breaking ball is fouled back. Pelfrey looking for a strikeout or a double play grounder. Buck trying to lift something out of the infield.
Well, and the other thing, the Marlins in this inning in particular have gotten that pitch count up for Mike Pelfrey.
Absolutely. I think early in the season that's even more important because you know guys aren't going to be taxed early on. I think the earlier you can get to the bullpen, it can only help.
75 pitches for Pelfrey as Terry Collins, who has an unsettled bullpen right now, looks on. Another 2-2 coming. Buck hangs in there.
Good battle.
Absolutely.
That was a good pitch from Pelfrey.
He's gone away a couple times, maybe make him chase.
23 pitches this inning for the big right-hander.
What do you think, Tommy? Fastball in here?
You know, he's tried away, missed with a couple of sliders. I mean, he wasn't close.
Yeah.
He's gotten Buck to foul off the fastball. I wouldn't be surprised if he comes in because he missed with that last fastball or got the foul ball on the fastball away.
Another 2-2.
There it is.
That one's off the match.
So you'd have been ready. You could have opened up for that one.
It's, you know what? It's so much easier from the booth, though. Because when I'm hitting, I'm like, oh, I think he's coming in here. Be ready for the one away. So it's much easier from up here. Because if I'm wrong, I can say, oh, well, I'm wrong. But I think you just saw, you know, ground ball. Pelfrey's tough. You know, he's a tall guy. He hides the ball pretty well. You know he's looking for a ground ball. But a nice battle so far by John Buck. I think he's doing a great job.
Well, his crowd wants to see something.
25th pitch this inning is a fastball that's driven to right center field and deep. Back goes Beltran to the wall. Grand slam.
Oh, what
John
a bat from Buck.
That's a nice way to start the season for you.
Welcome to Miami.
I really think that Pelfrey didn't want to go slider again for fear of going 3-2.
I think you might be right, because then you know you can't come to something 3-2. Wow, but that shows you how strong John Buck is. That's a long ways out there, right center here in this part.
What a way to introduce yourself to a new team and a new crowd.
He's already got his own sign.
Oh, nice. He's still around.
There's Donnie Murphy. And he hits a ground ball to short. Reyes around it. Throws him out. Mike and Tommy, a lot of people wondered, were the Marlins going to be able to replace Dan Uggla's 30-plus home runs? There's a curtain call from
that's great.
Were they going to be able to replace Uggla's home runs? And people point to, well, Stanton's going to play a full season for Morrison. You forget that Buck hit 20 home runs last year.
He's got a lot of power. I will say this, it's still hard to replace a second baseman that hits 30 home runs a year. But there are guys that have the potential, and I actually love Omar Infante. He's a guy that he's kind of like a guy that can glue your team together, both offensively and defensively. I think he's going to help Hanley out a lot in the middle of the infield, and you know, sometimes you kind of give a little to get a little too. And in the Marlins case, you know, we're still a small market team, and sometimes you can offer Ugla X and you can't go past it, and if you got to trade them, let's get something of value in return.
And I think, and Rich and I talked about this during the spring, you replace the power with the John Buck, you get some home runs there, you get Mike Stanton for the entire year, Logan Morrison might add a little power, and then you factor in the fact that if the defense is better, you're not going to give up as many runs. You might not need as many home runs.
Exactly right. I think just those little things could be the difference between 9, 12, 15, 18 victories, and the whole season could turn around.
Mike Lowell, thanks for stopping by, and make sure that you come by more often this year. You're welcome here in the booth anytime.
Thank you very much.
Well, come back, buddy. Especially if you're going to bring 4 runs with you.
I wish it was that easy.
John Buck grand slam, a 4-0 start for the Fish.
Place Big Taste by Metro PCS. Android phones now available at Metro PCS Plus. Get unlimited nationwide service for just $50 a month. Metro PCS, wireless for all. And by All Year Cooling. Today's comfort, yesterday's prices. We'll stroll on South Beach, South Florida tonight. Opening night tonight. Josh Johnson on the hill and a 4-0 lead in his back pocket. And so far, JJ is throwing zeros at the New York Mets as he goes to work here in the 5th. Angel Pagan leads it off. Ike Davis and Brad Emas will follow.
Well, I can't say enough about the at-bat that John Buck had against Mike Pelfrey. Fouled off a couple good pitches, took a couple of sliders off the plate, fouled off another fastball. Pelfrey stayed away, and he took the fastball into the right field seats.
Buck always had a colorful mask in Kansas City and a good one last year in Toronto, and he's brought that with him here to South Florida. Look at the Marlin that streaks down the side of that mask. I like that. Two and two. Tommy, this is the point of the ball game for Josh Johnson now, as he tries to not only hang on to this lead, but do it on an economy of pitches so that he can at least get to the 7th inning. There were times last year where JJ would have good games going, but he couldn't get through the 6th.
This being his opening start of the year. You'd love to see him at least get through 6 innings. And a good start here in the 5th.
So far, so good for Coughlin in center field. Time now for our Just for Men Live Forward. Take a look at the Marlins schedule. Super Saturday tomorrow night with Pitbull. A Sunday afternoon game. The Nationals will be here Tuesday through Thursday, and then a big road trip for the Fish on to Houston, to Atlanta, and to Philadelphia.
Marlins get to deal with the knuckleball on Sunday.
Just as we look forward, you can live forward with Just for Men hair color. Here is Ike Davis. A lone blemish on the night for JJ, who walked Davis back in the 2nd. Pulled towards first. Gabby has it. JJ's over and steps on the bag. The Nationals on Tuesday the 5th through Thursday the 7th. Look in the Miami Herald for the 2 for Tuesday coupon. Get infield box tickets for $7.90 on Wednesdays. That's always one of the great midweek promotions. From $7.90 the ticket. 1-877 Marlins, or go to Marlins.com. Marlins Baseball. Catch our moves. Brad Emis with his 2nd big league at bat fouls it off into the seats. This has gone as scripted for the Marlins. Grand slam by their new catcher John Buck. Sterling night from Josh Johnson. Good defense all around as well. Murphy across the diamond. 5 no-hit innings from Josh Johnson. For 4.
He endeared himself to Marlins fans right away with that 4 for 4 performance. And hey, there it is. Look at that, a head-first slide into 3rd.
Chris Coughlin.
Nice going, Niner.
Omar Infante and Hanley Ramirez against Mike Pelfrey, who's already at 86 pitches. This is up to Coughlin. 31 pitches in the 4th inning, and of course one of those, the grand slam off the bat of John Buck.
This is one of those innings you have to think a little bit about as a manager.
Emis around it and gets Coughlin.
Pelfrey will probably, this is probably going to be his last inning. You'd like to get him through this inning if you're Terry Collins, because he's due up 2nd when the Mets back in the 6th.
Here now is Infante. You can see the Mets bullpen starting to stir. Infante takes outside. Some Marlin fans might not know a lot about Infante except his versatility that they saw, as you pointed out, with the Braves. Being an infielder from Venezuela, always a pretty good chance that you come up as a shortstop, and indeed he did come up as a shortstop.
Rich, he has started every position in the major leagues except first base, catcher, and pitcher.
And that's amazing because he has such a good middle infield. He's an outstanding second baseman. And he's on base now as he walks. Harry Hill very impressed with Infante in the spring.
It was one of the decisions the ball club had to make once it was decided that Matt Dominguez would be sent back to the minor leagues. There was some thought, well, let's get Infante over to third and you can deal with second base with somebody else. But he thought, no, it's too good a combination, and he's too good a second baseman to mess up that combo of Hanley and Infante.
Here now is Hanley, and Infante is running. Hanley is swinging, and Infante's got a stolen base. Great pitch to run on a low breaking ball.
I actually think Hanley swung and missed on purpose because he saw the unbelievable jump that Infante was able to get. And so his swinging distracted the catcher, Josh Tolley, a little bit.
Slider, and Hanley fouls it back. It's 0-2. Hanley has flied out twice. Marlins have just 3 hits, but they've made them count. A pair of doubles, Mike Stanton and Gabby Sanchez, and then John Buck's grand slam.
How excited do you think Edwin Rodriguez is? His first opening day as a major league manager after taking over last June, taking the club to a 500 record, 46-46.
And remember, it was against the Mets last year, Tommy, when the Marlins and Edwin stepped foot on his native soil in Puerto Rico, the first Puerto Rican-born manager in Major League history. And he carries that same pride, he said, into tonight, because tonight opens the season.
And Rich, tomorrow night on our telecast in the 4th inning, we're going to have Edwin on headsets, be able to talk to him.
Hopefully he'll have as much success as Mike Lowell had in the 4th inning of tonight's telecast. Belfry's approaching 100 pitches. This will be 95. And Blaine Boyer's up in the pen. One-two to Hanley. It will be interesting to see if Hanley gets back to that stroke of 2009. Those were the videos that he took with him this winter, when he was driving the ball to center, driving the ball to right center.
And there will be a lot to determine as the year goes on to see how pitchers pitch to Hanley with the 21-year-old behind him, Mike Stanton.
That's a great point. Three-two. Fastball into right field. There's that base hit. Here comes Infante. Stop sign is up. And the throw from Beltran is just off the mark. Remember, Beltran has a good arm out in right field. And that's the stroke, Tommy, from 2009.
That stroke right there will get Hanley Ramirez a lot of RBIs. Not in this case, because he hit the ball well. right. Even though Beltran has the gimpy knees, he still has a pretty strong throwing arm. And he came up and made a good throw after that base hit.
Terry Collins has seen enough from Mike Pelfrey. And the first-year skipper of the Mets will take the ball and give it to Blaine Boyer. Mike Stanton coming up and runners at the corners. Here's Arboroni, called to the pen.
When you need a car.
For the Mets.
Prior to that, we saw a lot of Blaine Boyer when he was with the Atlanta Braves.
Mike Stanton has doubled and walked. Hanley's running on the first pitch. Taken outside, the throw to second, not in time.
It's a good play because all of a sudden it takes away a double play. Not wasting any time. Hanley with a green light got a tremendous jump. And wasn't even close at second base.
Josh Tolley was one of the top catchers in throwing out base stealers last year in the National League. He threw out 44%. But the Marlins have swiped a pair of bases in this inning. Now Stanton on a 1-0 pitch. It's through Tolley's glove. Infante, though, saw that it bounced right back to Tolley.
That's a decision that as a runner you have to make yourself. You can't really rely on a third base coach. For a moment it almost appeared to be a foul ball, but it wasn't. But that ball bounced back quickly to Tolley, the catcher. We've seen that happen often here in this ballpark. It's just a swing and a miss. And Tolley right on it. And Boyer was quick to cover.
He would have been out, and that's the last thing you want to do is run into an out with Stanton at the plate and one out. Hanley's at second, Infante's at third. There's a ground ball up the middle. Here comes Infante to the plate. Reyes is thrown to the plate, and Infante is out. Reyes went to his left. Infante hesitated just a little bit.
Let's watch Infante. With Reyes going toward second base, you almost thought that he might not make a play at the plate. But Jose Reyes has a strong arm. And he picks up the runner. Infante makes a strong throw, and Tolley puts a tag on Infante trying to get to the plate. A good play by the Mets shortstop.
Now Gabby Sanchez.
But the importance of the Hanley stolen base, that would have been a double play ball had Hanley still been at first. I like what Mike Lowell said about Gabby Sanchez. He has that nose for an RBI. He can smell that RBI.
A lot of scouts feel, after watching Sanchez last year, that he's going to be a good big league hitter for a long time. He's doubled and bounced out. Grounds it off of the glove of Davis. Here comes Hanley. He will score. Stanton arrives at third. I'm not sure if it took a bad hop. If it did, it might be a base hit.
I think it did, and I think it should be a base hit. He kind of got Davis in between. He got backpedaling on that chopper that had good topspin. But that last hop might have caught his glove, but it skipped over the glove. Watch this hop. He might not even have gotten the glove on it. Watch his hop. I think it should be a base hit, but we'll see. I don't want to get upset on opening day.
That's right. You don't want your new tie all ruffled. And it is a base hit.
All right, very good.
So there's the nose for the RBI. Gabby's first of the season. Here's Morrison now. Lomo has been up with runners in scoring position. In fact, in the fourth inning, he had runners in second and third and one out. He had an outstanding at bat. Didn't go out of the zone. Took the walk, which loaded the bases, which were unloaded quickly by John Buck with a grand slam. Went after a high fastball, and he pops it out behind second. Emas finds it and makes the catch. Marlins have to settle for a run. And to the sixth, JJ coming back out. Opening night for the Marlins, and quite a night for Josh Johnson. Look at the zeros across. A walk to Ike Davis, the only bump in the journey so far for JJ. Mike Stanton has come out of the ballgame. Scott Cousins is in right field. We'll try to find out if it's quad related or just Edwin Rodriguez with this lead doesn't want Stanton busting after a ball in the gap and figures he put Cousins in now.
Yeah, we'll have to see, because Edwin told me before the game he would use Cousins in center in a situation with Chris Coghlan out there. So to see him in right field, to me, a little bit of a surprise. Hopefully it's nothing too badly has gone wrong with Mike Stanton.
JJ to Josh Tolley. There's a ground ball up the middle. Hanley to his left. Has it, spins, fires, and got him. Nice play by Hanley for the first out here in the sixth inning. Let's check in with Craig Minervini. Craig?
All right, thank you very much, Rich. First of all, I did notice, and I'm just looking here, when Mike Stanton was talking to Edwin Rodriguez just before the inning started, he kind of was pulling on his left, it looked like left back hamstring. I don't know if it was what the reason was he came out of the game, but he was kind of pointing that. Didn't look to be in major pain, just looking at him over here with Edwin. And again, we'll find out if that was the reason or not that he was taken out. But I do also want to talk to you about how great this field looks here, and talking with Alan Sigwart, the head groundskeeper. You know, each year here, unlike almost every other stadium, they have to redo the stadium from scratch, and that means getting new sod in. 120,000 square feet. They got it in from Alabama. It looks great. Allen said this is probably the best or the top two he's ever had this field ready to go because there wasn't a lot of activity in the field. The grass got to settle in. The dirt, believe it or not, is the same dirt that was used when Niner played on it in 1993. It's the same dirt they stored here. It looked darker then because of the topping they put on it, but it's the same dirt. And the field's in great shape for baseball.
So, Craig, now when someone tells Niner that he's older than dirt.
He really is. Remember, it was very dark then.
Here's the 1-2 to Lucas Duda. He dumps it into shallow left. Morrison is there, and he makes the catch. And Josh Johnson, trying to get through this 6th inning, is in a groove. Tommy, his pitch count is pretty manageable right now at 71.
He's done it efficiently, mainly because he's limited the walks. He's walked just 1. And he has just a couple of strikeouts, 3 strikeouts.
Twice he's been able to get Jose Reyes to bounce out to Omar Infante. Center field.
Another quick inning.
Coughlin is there. Makes the catch. Josh Johnson, 6 no-hit innings on opening night in South Florida.
The big man, Clarence Clemens. Clarence, I know Major League players are excited about opening day. What is it? What's the significance for you as a musician?
Well, as a musician, I feel the same way as a sportster. I mean, like this is a big game. This is an important game, big day. Started off right, you know. It looks good out there.
When you joined forces with Bruce Springsteen way back in the day, would you have ever imagined that things would last this long and this far?
Well, I really hoped that it would, and it was something that I knew was going to happen because it's a great thing, and we were kind of magical together. So I kind of had this idea that it would happen like that.
Well, we enjoy listening to you as always. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Pleasure to talk to you. Clarence Clemens, Rich and Tommy, back to you.
All right, thank you, Frank. A terrific national anthem. The big man
done extremely tastefully. This is a great job.
Pedro Beato, the 24-year-old Dominican, making his major league debut. Fastball, fly ball, left field and deep. Buck gets into it. It is off the wall, bounces off the track. John Buck with a grand slam and a double tonight. And the Marlins off to a good start here in the 6th inning.
Have a night, John Buck. And guess what? For the first time here in 2011, we can say this is our checkers double of the game. John Buck just missing his 2nd home run. Aggressive. Beato with a good sinking fastball and slider, but Buck took care of that fastball right away.
Now you got Donnie Murphy up, who has bounced out twice. JJ is on deck. And a fastball from Beato is down low. Murphy has bounced to second, and he's bounced to short.
Beato, Rich, another Rule 5 player that the Mets have on their roster. Came over from the Orioles organization.
Pitched last year in Double-A. Murphy had a heroic year last year. Hit .296. Had walk-off hits in the span of a week. A walk-off home run against Houston Streets. And a walk-off single against Billy Wagner. And a swing and a miss. Let's check back in with Craig Minervini. Craig?
Rich, we just got a report from the Marlins media relations that, yes, it was a left hamstring for Mike Stanton, leaving the game with a tight left hamstring. He is day to day.
It was a left quadricep, thank you, Craig, that kept Stanton out almost a month of spring training. Donnie Murphy to deep center. Pagan is back. Deepest part of the park. Man, that's a bolt from Murphy. Buck will move up 90 feet. And he's at third base with one out. And JJ coming to the plate. Tommy, this is just for you.
Thank you.
This week in NASCAR on Fox moves to Martinsville, where Denny Hamlin will try to defend his title and take home his 4th straight checkered flag on that track. Coverage of Sprint Cup Series racing begins Sunday with the pre-race show at 12:30 Eastern, 9:30 in the morning Pacific on high definition in Fox.
That ball was so deep off the bat of Donnie Murphy that you're not going to see John Buck that often tag on fly balls, but it was deep enough. He got over to third base easily.
JJ takes inside. Programming note, kids, adjust your daytimers and your DVRs for tomorrow night.
This day and age, there are all kinds of things to adjust.
Tomorrow night's game is on Sun Sports on Fox Sports Florida tonight. Might you think about squeezing here? JJ pulls a ground ball. Enos makes a nice play, and that holds Buck at third base.
Well, you got your answer right there, but my answer was going to be probably not, mainly because the score is 5-0, and you don't have a whole lot of speed at third base on John Buck, and you have a left-hander. It's a little more difficult with a left-handed hitter up there, and JJ swings the bat pretty well.
Just to throw a curveball, and we know that our fans are okay with curveballs. As long as you keep your hands back and your weight back, yeah, you should be able to hit it. Sun Sports in South Florida. Everywhere else in Florida, we're on Fox Sports Florida tomorrow night. Coughlin takes a breaking ball inside. Of course, you'll be able to find us on your iPad, your smartphone, your computer.
And after the game tomorrow, everything after that will be on Fox Sports Florida.
Every game in high definition. Coughlin sprays one wide of third.
That means, of course, you and I, Rich, will go through a whole lot more makeup this year, being that all the games are in high def.
It's changed the industry. It's changed our spending habits and personal grooming habits as well. Coughlin's 0 for 2. He's bounced out twice and walked. Buck's at third. Chris gets a fastball, sends it to center. Pagan is there, and he makes the catch. 6 innings in the books. Josh Johnson back to the 7th, has not given up a hit. in the new Marlins ballpark. Be part of the future of Marlins baseball in Miami. Place a deposit today. Just call the new Marlins ballpark sales headquarters, 1-877-411-2012, or go to marlins.com/new ballpark. We've arrived in the 7th, and Josh Johnson is throwing a gem right now. Willie Harris, David Wright, Carlos Beltran for the Mets. JJ at 74 pitches with that sinker that moves outside.
Well, he's shown terrific sinker, some changeup, sliders, and a couple of curveballs. Last year, his home ERA was 1.57.
There's the first hit of the night for the Mets. Coughlin's first test in the gap. Runner going to second, and the throw not in time. But Tommy, I think we'll see a lot of that early in the season with the arm troubles that Coughlin had in spring training. And you hear the crowd as they come to their feet. A little tip of the cap to Josh Johnson.
Well, that two-seamer kind of stayed up. Willie Harris has seen JJ many times. That's his 5th hit, 5 for 18 now in his career against Josh.
David Wright now. JJ has handled him twice. Has struck him out twice. Nobody handled him last year on the Marlins staff.
Remember that stretch that Josh Johnson had last year? He went 8 straight starts, going 6 or more innings, and not giving up any more than 1 run.
Of course, there were a lot of pitchers that would go through a stretch like that and roll up the wins. Unfortunately for Josh Johnson, his bullpen let him down a lot last year. And his defense behind him wasn't all that great either.
Actually, only 2 pitchers have had better streaks. Bob Gibson back in '68, when he had that incredible year with an ERA of 1.12.
Breaking ball, Coughlin. Let's see if Harris tags and goes to third.
Absolutely. Word is out. There's no question.
David Wright advances the runner. Time now for our Coors Light freeze can. Positive defense from Hanley Ramirez. Freeze it right there. A little spin-a-rama. Hanley ranging far to his left. Cross blue Coors Light freeze can. Marlins would like to see Hanley take a step forward defensively this year. He made 16 errors last year. Beltran's 0 for 2. Rockets one down the line and right. That's going to score a run. Harris comes in. Beltran gingerly jogs into second as Cousins retrieves the ball. He can swing the bat like the old Carlos Beltran, but he certainly isn't as mobile as he has been in his big league career.
Well, and they certainly need that, given the fact that Beltran's sitting in the cleanup spot 8 times in his career. Carlos Beltran's had 100 RBIs or more. You know, we're talking about Hanley showing that nice play he made. And it got me thinking about the defense. Remember how awful the defense was early in spring. The ball club did not get off to a good start defensively, but if you go back to March 19th when the team started playing better, they made just 4 errors. So they finished the spring on a high note defensively as well.
There was a ball game in which they made 5 errors, which prompted a post-game barrage, so to speak, from Larry Beinfest, saying that that's not acceptable and that has to change. And it did. Pagan takes down low. This is a guy that I think has been underappreciated the last couple of years. He is a terrific center fielder. Last year, he played in 151 games, a career high.
And career highs in just about everything.
Stole 37 bases. outside corner from J.J. 82 pitches for Josh Johnson. He has struck out 3. He's walked 1. A pair of hits and 1 run. Chopper, Hanley comes to get it off of his glove. Pagan has good wheels, and I suspect that'll be an infield hit.
It's, again, one of those do-or-die plays. If you lay back on that ball and get the nice easy hop, it's a base hit for Pagan because of his speed. So you got to try to charge it. He gets caught in between, and Pagan, I would say, reaches on an error, but we'll have to see. It'll be a tough error. That's a base hit. And you just really have to think about it. If he stays back on it, he gets the infield hit. I think that's a key inning for Josh's psyche. It would be good for him to get through this 7th inning and then complete his night.
Talked about that 7-inning barrier, and something that J.J. at times struggled to get through last year. He's got 1 out here in the 7th, a 5-1 lead. Mike Davis is 0 for 1. Pagan bluffs, and it's fouled out of play.
Yeah, you got to be careful. Pagan had 37 stolen bases last year, because while you can, you'd like to keep the double play in order.
John Buck grand slam. The highlight offensively for the Marlins. Gabby Sanchez RBI single, accounting for the 5 runs. The Mets have their first 2, actually 3 hits of the night in this inning. Pagan is running, and a grounder up the middle. Infante gloves it, fires the first just in time to get Davis. Nice play by Omar Infante. Mets have their 2nd run of the inning, and it's 5-2.
Well, and if not for the fact that Pagan was on the move, that's a double play ball. So Terry Collins has his runner going. You can see this clearly double play. Infante checks. All of a sudden, Pagan had to get back to the bag. But again, everything looks so smooth.
I was just going to say that.
When Infante catches it, he had a couple of choices. He was also checking the runner at 3rd as well.
There is a little different feeling when the ball's hit out there tonight. Swing and a miss by Emis, who was 0 for 2 in his major league debut, the Rule 5 draft pick, who won the starting job for the Mets in the spring.
The other thing, if J.J. had not been so efficient as he was earlier in the game, at pitch count here in this inning, we probably would not see him get through the 7th inning. So he was efficient. Hopefully he's got enough gas to get 1 more out here in this inning.
I like that on our new scoreboard up in the left-hand corner. When a pitch hits 95 on the gun, there's a quick shot of flame. Two and 1. Webb and Dunn both down in the bullpen and ready to go for the fish. Just a country fastball there.
This is the most pitches J.J.'s thrown in any inning so far tonight. That was number 17. He threw 15 in the first inning, 15 in the second.
41,000 plus, trying to get J.J. through it. 2-2.
Largest home crowd since a game against the Yankees back in June of '09.
41,237, the official attendance. They expect a big crowd tomorrow night on a Baker Concrete Super Saturday. South Florida's own Pitbull, big Marlins fan, will perform after the ball game. Another 2-2.
Still throwing 96 after a lot of pitches.
Full count. Pagan's at second. And he did not get Nunes. Toley is coming up.
That's a guy that JJ just can't let get away. Rule 5 guy making his major league debut, a right-handed hitter. He's got to get him. And because of that, Edwin's going to go to the left hand.
It's that 7-inning barrier, and I know this is an opening night start, but JJ, who had a no-hitter going into this inning, been able to bust through it, but he leaves with a 5-2 lead, and he turns it over to a brand new bullpen. And Maroney called to the pen.
You need a car. Truck.
It's almost a new cast of characters down in the pen. Quality arms that the Marlins brought in. This is one of them. Mike Dunn came in from the Atlanta Braves, the Dan Uggla trade, along with Omar Infante. And Dunn brings with him a live left arm. He's young, 26.
And it's not going to be that lefty-lefty matchup. Terry Collins realizing this is an opportunity for his club to really get back in this game. So Scott Hairston is going to pinch hit for the catcher, the left-handed hitter, Josh Toley.
The Marlins are scheduled to see both Hairston brothers on this homestand. Jerry Hairston of the Nationals, and here is Scott, who had a terrific spring training.
He was a part of that exciting San Diego ball club last year. Very solid player.
Done last year in 25 games with the Braves, an ERA of under 2. He was a closer for the Braves last year in AAA. He had 7 saves.
This is a little different scenario. If you knew you were going to get a lefty all the way, maybe you would think about a Randy Choke, who's mostly a matchup guy, but Dunn has good enough stuff. In this case, he can get right-handers. He's gotten ahead 0-2. That's a good way to do it.
Oh, 2 coming. And he can pitch next inning if you want him to. His choke, as you pointed out, is going to be used exclusively as a left-handed specialist.
Actually, Mike Dunn was drafted as an outfielder by the New York Yankees, so he's a good athlete.
Fastball blew him away. Welcome to South Florida, Mike Dunn.
Nice Marlins debut.
Dunn finishes off Hairston. The Mets are done in the 7th. And a new look bullpen holds on to a 5-2 lead.
Josh Johnson before he gave up his first hit. He was absolutely tremendous tonight. He got some offensive help from his new battery mate, John Buck. A great at bat, a grand slam home run from Buck. Put the Marlins ahead 4-0. Buck also doubled his next at bat. He's had a terrific night.
Omar Infante, Hanley Ramirez, and Scott Cousins in the 7th. Liner into center field, Infante. There's his first hit of the season. The only bump in the road in this one tonight is the fact that Mike Stanton left the ballgame with tightness in his hamstring. That was after he went 1 for 2 with a double and a walk. All right, we saw Infante run in the 5th. He stole second and stole it quite easily.
He stole it off Pelfrey.
And it lifts one back into the seats. Our leaders of the game presented by JM Lexus. First hit for Infante. A lot of hits last year. Cargo won the batting title at 336. Joey Votto next at 324. And Infante was 3rd. JM Lexus, price made us number 1. Click jmlexus.com to find out how. Not a big lead against Pedro Beato. Hanley bounces one to Enos. Reyes with the turn. The Mets get a double play. The Mets are looking to improve defensively from last year. They were not a good defensive team. You mentioned Louis Castillo being released in spring training. Of course, Louis was quickly signed to a minor league contract by the Phillies and then promptly announced that he didn't want to play for the Phillies. But then went to camp a day later.
He played about 3 or 4 games in the spring with him.
And was released.
And they've decided to go with Wilson Valdez at second base.
Here's a guy that's made the team and had a nice showing last year when he got to the big leagues. That's Scott Cousins. I think one of the things that helped Cousins, his defensive versatility. There's Clay Hensley.
Yeah, the fact that Cousins is a above average outfielder at all three outfield positions.
I think some people, Tommy, feel, hey, if an outfielder is an outfielder. But that's far from the truth. There are a lot of center fielders, good ones, that don't like to play in the corners. And obviously there are corner outfielders that can't play center. Liner into left center field. There's a base hit. Cousins has good wheels around first. He'll stop there. I think the other thing working for Scott, Tommy, is that he played so well in September when he got called up.
He got a little taste of big league action, and he got some confidence. Remember, he had that walk-off game winner. That was the game he came into when Logan Morrison was hit by that foul ball in the on-deck circle. Cousins came into the game, and later he had a walk-off base hit.
Yeah, he had to scramble, find his bat and his helmet because he pinch hit from Morrison. That was a scary moment. That was a moment where we found out how tough Logan Morrison was.
He played, was it a doubleheader the next day in Philly?
And the Marlins told him to stay home and go to the doctor the next day. It was getaway day. That happened at the end of the ball game. As we were on the plane, finishing loading the plane, who walks on the plane with a big-time shiner but Logan Morrison? And as you pointed out, played both games in the doubleheader.
Yeah, I think we all learned something about Logan Morrison that day.
A lot of people said, I thought you were supposed to be at the hospital being examined. And he said, I was. The doctor said I would be okay, and then I talked him into letting me get on the flight. Cousins is running. The ball goes to the screen. And Scott's got a stolen base. The Marlins have swiped 3 tonight.
New catcher in there, Mike Nikias coming in. Remember, Tolley came out for a pinch hitter. So here's a guy who probably wouldn't have made the club if Ronnie Paulino was here. So this ball gets away. It'll be a stolen base because Cousins was running.
Gabby Sanchez is 2 for 3, a double and an RBI single tonight. 2 outs.
Had a little bit of everything thrown into this game. Stolen bases, defense, long ball, a grand slam.
Beato. This is up with a fastball, 2 Rule 5 picks. Seeing action tonight for the Mets. Tim Burdack, the lefty in the Mets pen.
I'm sure he's getting ready for Morrison.
Gabby pops up a breaking ball. Big crowd here tonight, and a lively crowd. A curtain call for John Buck after his grand slam. Over 41,000. Of course, opening night next year will be one of the toughest tickets to get in South Florida history.
But there is a way to ensure you have a ticket for that opening night, and that is check in on a season ticket package. Because you're going to want to say you're there.
There are roughly 36,000 seats and 1,000 standing room only spots in the new ballpark. And that's one of the things that both you and I have been struck by going into that facility is how intimate it is.
Great sight lines, going to be on top of the action, no matter where you sit.
Ground ball. Wright gobbles it up. And Davis makes the stretch and the catch. Beato works a scoreless 7th. On to the 8th. Marlins up 5-2. Marlins, or go to marlins.com. Baker Concrete Super Saturday tomorrow night, 7:10 start. Got fireworks as well with that Super Saturday. Looks like the Marlins going to make a pitching change here.
Well, Mike Dunn went out there, but as soon as Chin Lung Hu was announced, he's a right-handed hitter, in will come Clay Hensley.
Five-2 ball game, 8th inning. 41,000 plus here, including Clay Hensley. Hensley, the third pitcher to work for the Fish. He takes over from Mike Dunn. And he gets a guy that saw some big league time with the Dodgers, Chin Lung Hu.
They had a couple of opportunities up and down with the Dodgers for different years. What a year last year Clay Hensley had. If you go all the way back to spring training, he came into camp a non-roster invitee. Thought maybe he would be a starting pitcher. But worked his way on the roster and filled many different roles.
Who sends it out to Coghlan? Disappointed that Hu didn't get on first base.
I know you were waiting to say it. Clay Hensley, one of the things that we learned about him last year, he's a fearless competitor.
He was able to close. Did that quite well. Heck, there was even talk in the offseason that Hensley might come back and be a starter this year for the Marlins. And I think some of that was because when you go into an offseason and you are in a trade mode, and the Marlins certainly were. They traded Cameron Maybin to San Diego, traded Dan Uggla to Atlanta. You never know when you're going to have to throw in a chip, which might be a starting pitcher.
I think he's comfortable right now with himself working out of the bullpen, though. And how about a debut for Cameron Maybin as a Padre? Hit a game-tying home run in the 9th inning in St. Louis. Had a single later in the game.
Reyes fouls it back. Around baseball today and tonight, some news and notes. Matt Holliday of the Cardinals had to have an appendectomy.
Boy, he had a big day for St. Louis. He homered in that game against San Diego. There's that changeup. That was the thing when Hensley had the opportunity to close. We saw him come in and pick up saves with an assortment of pitches.
That's the Tim Lincecum changeup that his buddy Kevin Correa taught him in the offseason in San Diego.
Boy, it all comes together. Kevin Correa, the opening day pitcher for the Pirates today in Chicago against the Cubs.
Willie Harris strokes one into right field. Cousins approaches. 2 injury notes in tonight's ball game. 1, Mike Stanton left with tightness in his hamstring. 2, about an hour north of here, Matt Dominguez was hit by a pitch in his left elbow, fracturing his elbow in a AAA game against the Mets AAA team. The repercussions of that are that the timeline of getting Matt Dominguez to the big leagues will obviously be delayed.
There are a few things that happen that the Marlins, I guess if you're in a front office, you can never rest easy. But with the Stanton injury, and we hope it's not serious, you still have to decide if you don't put him on the disabled list. Now you play with a 24-man roster for a few games.
He's listed as day-to-day, but obviously you never know with something like that. He did miss a month in spring training.
And with the injury to Matt Dominguez, does the club feel comfortable with Donnie Murphy or Emilio Bonifacio? But now Bonifacio may be put into action a little more in the outfield.
0-2 pitch. Hensley tried to finish him off with a fastball. David Wright is 0 for 3. He's struck out twice and flied out. Mets are hopeful that Jason Bay is back within the next 7 to 10 days.
Then they hope Jason Bay hits the way he did when he was with the Red Sox. Last year, just 6 home runs. Jason Bay, who had a concussion, he missed some time with that.
Little squiver. Gabby kicks it and flips it, and Hensley a nice step on the bag, hopped out of danger's way in a very uneventful 8th inning.
Feels like, I guess, would be a playoff kind of atmosphere. So I've never been in a playoff game, but I would guess that's kind of how it is. Crowds into it, loud, and cheering us on.
Solid performance tonight. Very efficient first 6 innings. Their runs come in the 7th. How did you feel after your first start of the year?
Good. Did a lot of good things. A lot of good change-ups, good sliders. Fastballs locating it pretty well. So it was overall, good.
JJ, thanks for the time. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Guys?
Nice job, Allison. Nice job for Josh Johnson. And the Marlins try to add on to a 5-2 lead. 4th pitcher for the Mets, Taylor Buchholz, takes over for Pedro Beato. Mike Pelfrey went 4 1/3 in this one.
Taylor Buchholz has been a little bit major leagues with the Astros, the Rockies, the Toronto Blue Jays.
Logan Morrison is 0 for 2. Has walked and scored a run. He came in on the John Buck grand slam, which is a big hit in this ball game. It came in the 4th inning against Pelfrey. Buchholz runs that pitch inside. There is Buck. Follow Morrison and Donnie Murphy here in the 8th. Marlins trying to jump out to a 1-0 start and open this season with a win. Morrison, a bolt to right, in deep and gone just like that. Wow, did that get out in a hurry?
Well, we talked about it when Mike Lowell was up here with us about where the Marlins are going to replace some of that power. I think most feel Logan Morrison's going to hit more than the 2 home runs he hit last year. Oh, he gets a high fastball, aggressive swing, and this ball got out in a hurry.
Logan Morrison, as he came around 3rd, looked up into the stands, and watch what happens. His father, who passed away in the offseason, unable to attend this opening night. His father was in the Coast Guard. And so Morrison with a salute, and also pointed, his mother is here. A lot of his immediate family have come to South Florida to watch this very special night. And you remember, Tommy, how emotional it was for him last year when he got to the big leagues. And his father, Tom, who was battling lung cancer, had to take that 28-hour train ride from New Orleans to New York to see his son in the big leagues for the first time.
And then came to Milwaukee.
His father lost that battle in the offseason. And there were many members of the Marlins who went to New Orleans for the funeral. Marlins front office, a lot of Morrison's teammates. Morrison started his camp for the cure. In the offseason, held a fundraising camp for the American Lung Association. He, of course, went overseas along with this man, John Buck. Breaking ball misses outside. An opening night home run for Logan Morrison and a 6-2 lead. Foul. Big blow in this one, 4th inning. Coors Light, cold hard blast. Great at bat against Mike Pelfrey, and a grand slam for John Buck.
That was an outstanding at bat, fouling off some tough pitches, got the fastball away, and then took it to right field. He has shown power to all fields in this one tonight. He doubled the deep left field off the wall his next at bat.
Opening night grand slams. Hanley Ramirez, Juan Encarnacion, and Preston Wilson. There's a shot to center field, and Pagan is there to make the catch. Tommy, you were talking about power to all fields. Please show us.
Well, if you blinked and you missed the Coors hard blast, you found out that the home run went in this direction, to right center. The double went off the wall here. We've got new toys to play with this year. We're going to have some fun with that all year.
Look at you. My partner, Tommy Hutton, when I arrived in 2005, was technologically behind the times.
Not very advanced.
We had to walk him through cell phones, teach him how to text. And now he sits up here with his iPad and an enormous telestrator that has stretchy arrows, has circles.
Got the iPad with all the scores, in case we have to check in on the scores.
He's got got the iPhone with just about every app that you can imagine, including the Major League Baseball app.
You've brought me a long way. You've helped me through this. I no longer will seek help.
What else have you got on that toy of yours over there? Here's the 0-2 coming. I mean, put a circle around Donnie Murphy's head for me, will you?
Well, we can just. I don't know if the circle is big enough. No, it's a small circle for smaller things.
Yeah, but you were right there on the helmet.
Circle.
There's a pop-up. Ike Davis over to the wall, and it's 4 rows in. 1-2 to Donnie Murphy, who's 0 for 3 tonight. Murphy getting the start at third base.
I don't want to get too excited, Rich, because I've been told we may not always have this advanced technology. We could put in some demands.
Murphy pulls a ground ball right off his glove, and Donnie Murphy has a base hit.
Yeah, good to see Donnie Murphy break into the hit column. He's been 0 for 3. Got that one out of the reach of David Wright.
Well, here's another new dimension for the Marlins coming to the plate. The Marlins really suffered getting pinch hits off the bench last year. 2 years ago, they set a Major League record with the combination of Wes Helms and Ross Globe. Greg Dobbs is trying to fulfill the Ross Globe role of 2009. Look at the spring that he had. And he made the club as a non-roster player.
Last year, Marlins pinch hitters hit just 193.
Dobbs, as a pinch hitter last year, hit just 122. He was outstanding in 2008 in the World Championship season for the Phillies. He had 22 pinch hits.
He admits that last year he got into somewhat of a drop and lift mode, thinking home runs at Citizens Bank Park. But in spring training, we saw him shoot line drives to left center and right center the entire camp.
Against real dominant right-handers, you might see Dobbs get a spot start at third base.
He can play there. He can play some first. He actually played in the outfield a couple of games in spring training as well.
Rodriguez with 1 out near the bottom of the 8th. Dobbs, a little roller right, gets an out at second, and that's it. Nice slide by Murphy. Dobbs is aboard on a fielder's choice. Toyota Trend moving forward in front of over 41,000 plus. 4th time that the Marlins have faced the Mets in 19 opening days. And the Mets lead the series 2-1. Heck, the Mets have won 5 consecutive season openers.
Hard to imagine the Mets now in their 50th year. And they've gone 32-17 in home openers. The Marlins have split 9-9. If this one holds up, they'll be 10-9.
Mets did not play well in this ballpark last year. They were 1-8 here in South Florida. Here's Coghlan. Goes after a high fastball. Coghlan 0 for 3 tonight. Nunes and Webb in the pen. Many feel that Brian Webb has closer stuff and that someday will close games in the big leagues. Nunes trying to reclaim the job that he lost last year. Ball and a strike. Buchholz misses up with a breaking ball. Taylor Buchholz touched up with a Logan Morrison rocket for a homer. Marlins had 2 home runs tonight. John Buck a grand slam. Morrison a solo shot. Gabby Sanchez with an RBI single. Josh Johnson 6 no-hit innings to start his season. But could not get through the 7th. Gave up the 2 Met runs. Coghlan after a changeup and a good one. It's 2-2.
Yeah, it's a good changeup we've seen from Buchholz. That's the same pitch he got Dobbs to squib off the end of the bat. Been a well-rounded offensive attack tonight. Actually, Chris Coghlan, the only starter of the starting 8 without a base hit.
Runner on the move, and Coghlan hits a tapper out towards Emis. Reyes cuts it off and makes a tremendous play. Reyes was headed towards second with the runner on the move, and he continued on to make the play. No one made a play on this. Logan Morrison, salute to Dad. Struck out pinch hitter Scott Hairston to end the 7th to hang on to what was then a 5-2 lead. It's now a 6-2 lead. This is not a safe situation, but the Marlins want to see Leo Nunes in the 9th, and so here he is.
You know, I think it's good for Leo to get out there to get comfortable. And the other thing about that, Edwin feels good. Let's say he had to use Leo now 2 or 3 games in a save situation. Now he has to give him a night off. I think he feels good about Ryan Webb to bring in that role, or Clay Hensley. So I think it's good for Leo to get the opportunity to get out there tonight.
Carlos Beltran, Angel Pecan, and Ike Davis. Okay, a couple of things about Leo Nunes that you should know. Number one, the Marlins mandated in spring training that he throw his slider and throw it a lot.
And that's mainly because last year we'd see him come in and at times so 4 or 5 changeups in a row, and he'd stay mainly with fastballs and changeups. To utilize the slider is to just show a hitter, especially a right-hander, another pitch.
1-2 to Beltran. The other thing you should know about Nunes is that the Marlins feel that with John Buck behind the plate, Nunes isn't going to get into that 6, 7. I think one point last year, he threw 12 consecutive changeups in an appearance. Beltran, Coughlin towards the track with Lomo, and there's a couple of guys getting to know each other out there. Two converted infielders in the gap on the warning track.
The other thing about John Buck back there is he has a little history with Leo Nunes. Buck was with Kansas City in 04, 05, 06, 07, and 2008. Leo Nunes came up as a young flamethrower in 05, spent some time in 06 and 07 and 08. So there is history there, and they know each other, and I think that's a comfortable feeling for Nunes.
Now Pagan. Nunes has a plus fastball, and he has a plus changeup. And his slider's not a bad pitch. So he has the components that should make him a successful closer. That fastball is popped up. Murphy calls for it, and he makes the catch.
He got beat with the slider last year. Home run.
One in particular, a one-run lead against the Giants in the 9th inning. Aaron Rowans tied the game, and from that point forward, he kind of shelved it.
He kind of shelved it. I think the thing that he's come to realize is that, hey, if he had made a good pitch with that slider, that would have happened. He just made a bad pitch with it. That's all. And Edwin's been instrumental in getting him through that, too.
Ike Davis 0 for 2. Mets have 4 hits with their 2 runs. The Marlins 10 hits with their 6 runs. Wow, there's the Heat 95 from Nunes.
And flame. The flame on the Fox box.
Changeup.
96 with the fastball, and then he came back with an 88-mile-an-hour changeup.
It's a devastating pitch when you follow it in that sequence. Another changeup. He's thrown 2 in a row. Josh Johnson in line for the win. 41,000 plus on opening night. The last opening night for the Marlins in this ballpark. Changeup was out.
I think this, Rich, is where he has to be careful of throwing another changeup. He's already thrown 2 in a row.
He threw another.
Why not throw a really good one?
And he works a 1-2-3 9th inning, and the Marlins win it 6-2. They beat the Mets. They open up 2011 in style with a John Buck grand slam. 6 no-hit innings from Josh Johnson. A nice effort from the bullpen. And the Marlins beat the Mets tonight 6-2 in 2 hours and 42 minutes. We'll put a wrap on this one. Big night for John Buck in his Marlin debut. A 6-2 win for the Fish.